Cheers! Welcome to my channel. This is an end of the month for the month of December Tarot Oracle reading. And Pisces, you are the star of this astrological insight. If your sun sign is not in Pisces, we still all have a little bit of Pisces in us. If you have your birth chart, which house is Pisces in? That is where this energy shows up for you. My goal is to provide valuable information to empower you. I've already shuffled and cut the cards, and I'm going to begin with the underlying energy from the bottom of the deck. So at the bottom of the deck, we have fulfillment. So this is the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is a card that represents quite often marriage and a commitment for sure of some kind. This card is also representative of the 1111 portal. And the 1111 portal is, like, you'll know if you've entered it when you start noticing that the time is 11:11 on the clock, or 1:11, or 1:11 license plate drives by, or an address you go to is 11:11, that kind of energy. And that is just a synchronicity that the universe has that would tell you to watch your thoughts, because you're manifesting at a powerful rate, and to make sure you keep your thoughts on what you want, not on what you don't want. So let's see what this is about. And then we have, for the underlying energy, for the bottom part of my reading here, is the Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands is a messenger. In the old days, they were a messenger for the king and queen and the court, and they would be delivering messages around the court and doing small tasks. And they would be between the age of about 7 and 14 when they began. And then when they were 21, if they were good at what they were doing, they'd be promoted to being able to be thought of as someone for the knighthood, as long as they could afford a horse. And so the Page of Wands, in the old days, of course, they would deliver the messages always on foot. And these days, this card represents someone that is actually a male or a female, because these are archetypes. So in the old days, they would all be male. And also this communication coming in could be, we have so many forms of communication now. So it could be in person, on foot, or it could be a letter, an email, a text, social media post, that kind of energy. And so the Page of Wands represents the element of fire, and that's representing passion and enthusiasm. And he's got a feather in his cap here. So, and he's admiring his wand. Sometimes the Page of Wands, he really likes his wand, and sometimes he thinks with his little head. There's the mysteries of the pyramids right behind him here. So this is saying that he really enjoys a good mystery. So that's the kind of energy we're looking at. We have a lot of action. The wands represent action. And we have the King of Swords. So now we have the swords represent your mental intellect, your mind, control over your mind. This is a double-edged sword, so there's two edges to it. And the king is sitting on a sword. He's most likely to be a professional, possibly a lawyer, or someone who uses his words to earn his living. So a speaker, a lawyer, something like that. It could be someone who's the CEO of a business. He understands that words can be used as weapons. And if he got in a fight, he would use his words before he would use his fists. And also, he understands that talk is cheap and actions speak louder than words. So we'll see what's going on here. We have, I don't take them upside, I have my deck upside down. I apologize. So somebody's been left out in the cold. That's what this card represents. So the pentacles, there's 5 pentacles here, and they represent health, wealth, happiness. And of course, part of that would be coin. So they are coins. And these two individuals are left out in the cold. Like this one doesn't even have shoes, and this one's on crutches. So they've decided to collaborate with each other so that they can empower each other. They could go into the church here instead of just keeping on going, but they've decided that they will put their skills together, what little they do have, and they will turn something make that something out of it, and empower each other. And two heads is better, or two sides of the sword are better than one kind of energy. This card quite often can represent tactics because of the snowflakes. So the energy is, we can all handle a flake or two, but if a bunch of flakes pile up together, they'll collapse our house. And so that's the energy here. And then we have a gift coming in from the universe, from God. This is an Ace of Wands. So this is a passion for new discovery. And so it has something to do with these actions here. We have the enthusiasm, and maybe you've lost your enthusiasm. If you are the Page of Swords and something happened, this represents having a loss of course, and it also can represent that it was because of tactics against you, So this could be, it could be a lawyer defending you in court or something like that. Or it could be you could be the lawyer or whatever. There's something going on here. But the good news is that the universe is stepping in with a gift for you. And this is a passion for new discovery. So I feel that this is saying that the answers you need will be coming in to empower you to get to this fulfillment. And then we have, okay, so you've been carrying some burdens, heavy burdens that don't belong to you. So some of these burdens may have been from your own actions, but some of these burdens could be from other people's actions. So we have fulfillment, and we have some sort of communication coming in. And we have, this thinking. This can represent a lot of thinking. And what am I going to say kind of energy, just because some tactics have left you out in the cold. And when that message came, there was a passion for new discovery, and you've been carrying a lot of burdens. Sometimes these wands are representative of seeds that have been planted. They've grown into wands, and they can be heavy with the fruit of your labor, because we do have the fulfillment here. But this is saying you're so close. Don't stop now. Like, you might not be able to see the forest for the trees, but you're very close to your home. And also, it's saying that if any of these are actually burdens that don't belong to you, you could always just put them down and then carry on without them. And we have, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So this is talking about having worked very hard. This is the only Pentacle card in the deck that actually the person is actually working on the coin. So this is talking about actually making money. This is abundance through making money. And either you have been working hard and have completed 6 of the Pentacles, and you are on the 7th and you only have 1 to go, or you have started a new project. And that could be so because of the passion for new discovery. You have one, you have one done, and you have a second one here that you're working on, and you have all of these to go before the project is complete. And then we have the 5 of Swords. So the 5 of Swords is saying that you've been in some sort of battle, and it could have been with your own thinking, or it could have been others. So sometimes this card represents 3 versions of this person and things they've gone through. And, they were this small, and then they grew this bigger, and then this. So this is talking about in the past, there's been some battles either within your mind or with other people that you have won, because the other people's swords are down. And this is talking about every time that you get into a challenge and you are successful in winning or getting through it, that it raises your vibration to be a better version of yourself. And I feel like that's what this could be, because again, we have this fulfillment. What is this fulfillment about? We want to know what the fulfillment is. There we go. Hey, Pisces. Okay. So this is representing the what ifs. Like when you're laying in bed at night and you're wondering, what if I do this? What if this happens? What if I do this and then they do that? That kind of energy. So this is the internal dynamics and the internal forces within that you do have control over. So you can't control what other people do, but you can control whether or not you react or you respond. And so this is talking about your identity, your self-image. So you're the King of Swords, and the King of Swords is very intelligent and highly respected for their ability to run businesses and run courts, etc., and to be being very good with their words. And this represents some sort of professional. And then we have this energy of this is how much you feel like your abundance is right now. So you feel like you have half the money that you should. The most you can have in the tarot is 10 pentacles, but you feel that you have only 5 and that you've been left out in the cold. And quite often this can be about tactics. And so then the energy here is about the communication in your early life. And so I'm getting like when you were here working on whatever this is, this fulfillment, you were really enthusiastic and you felt youthful and you felt really like, I can do this. But now it's kind of like your emotional foundation is not as strong. You feel like, oh, this is so much more work than I thought it was going to be. And I don't know if I can make it. Like, I just want to put these down and lay on the ground and cry kind of energy. That's the energy I'm feeling. But this is saying keep going because you're almost there. And many a time when you're working on something, just before it's about to come into fruition, that's when people have a tendency to quit. And then this is about working towards having for romance, creativity, and children. So I'm getting that you want to have this fulfillment, like in this of a marriage, a children, and that kind of energy. And you've been working hard so that you can get the coin together so that you can do this. And then this is regarding your health and your daily routines and the habits that you have. And so there may be something that I feel like, for one thing, you're overthinking a lot of everything. And the other thing is that I feel like on some level you're really beating yourself up because you only made half the money that you thought you would doing what you're doing. And this card also can represent the way nature counts when nature is manifesting. So nature counts different than us when nature's manifesting. For nature, because nature understands that life is a dance, not a march, and that you're not always going to be making forward progress. It's way more comfortable, and most human beings prefer going forward, but life is not a march, and it's a dance. So in nature, 1 + 1 = 2, and then 2 reaches back into the past and steps back and grabs 1, and then 1 + 2 is 3. And then nature reaches back from 3 and reaches for the 2, and then we have 3 + 2 = 5. And it keeps going like that. So this is saying, hey, life is not a march, it's a dance, and it's normal to have a step backward, and sometimes you might go sideways a little bit, but don't quit now because you've worked so hard and you're almost there, and this fulfillment is here. You've just lost your enthusiasm. So let's see what that's about here. You were left out in the cold, so this quite often means there's been tactics used against you so that you've been like not part of society, not feeling like you fit in. That could be not fitting in to your, to the marriage that you have, or it could be not fitting in with your original family. It could be not fitting in with the company that you work for, that kind of energy, some sort of energy like that. And so let's see what the underlying energy, okay. So we have, this is for the external forces. So this is an interesting card. The 6 of Cups represents reconciliation. So the road to reconciliation, first you forgive, and then you can reconcile after forgiveness. But when you forgive, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to reconcile. This card can also, like, it can talk about reconciling something within yourself, like your thoughts, you know, and about what happened. And I just keep getting this energy that you're really angry with yourself and beating yourself up for something that you did or didn't do, and you feel like that's cost you, maybe, because it appears here there's someone, like, it appears like this is two children and there's a watch, you know, someone watching over them there. But when you look at it again, you realize this is a gnome, and this is a little old lady or a younger woman that's really small, depending on how you look at the face on her. And these cups are the only cups in the tarot that are filled with flowers, like every cup like this. And these are white flowers. They represent innocence. This plant is actually Datra. And Datra is a very highly poisonous plant that some shamans use for ceremonies. It's very dangerous, like to, you know, if you don't know what you're doing with it, but it provides visions and helps the shaman heal you. So on some level, this could be reconciling with something that happened when you were young. And it could have been some sort of illusion or something that was going on. And so this energy is talking, like, the cups represent love. So it's love, like romantic love, or it could be love of what you do, or what, you know, what you want to do, what you want to be when you grow up, kind of energy. And so this can also be talking about reconciling the inner child with how things are now, kind of energy, how you are now. And so, you know, it could be many things. This could also, some people believe this represents someone, you know, reuniting with someone from your past. So it could be something about that. Perhaps you had like a childhood romance, you know, or you had someone, you know, like high school kind of energy. And then you know, life happened and you moved away and whatever. But you always wondered, hey, I wonder what that person is doing, that kind of energy. It could be about that. So whatever it is has been like a never-ending nightmare for you. So this is representing the external forces, the E.F.s. What the E.F. happened. And this is the energy. This person is sitting. They've woken from a nightmare, and it's one that's reoccurring, and they can't solve it. And that's, I guess, why we have, and we have the swords going across here. And then we kind of have this energy, you know, on the side. So the swords, whatever this is about, is this never-ending nightmare. And it's keeping you kind of in a loop. Also, it can represent that when the universe and God stepped in, it was in the wee hours of the morning, and you woke up from a dream, and you're trying to remember it because there was some information given you on how to take consistent steps of action to reach your goals. And right now, as I'm doing this reading, we just had the solstice, and the solstice is when it's the longest night of the year and the shortest day. And then after that, the light at the end of the tunnel is near, because the days are all going to become longer and the nights shorter. So there'll be more light. And so I feel like that might be what this is about, because also we, on the 19th to 20th, we, depending on where you live, and if you go by universal time or if you're in North American time, with all the time changes, we have we had a Sagittarius new moon, and the new moon is a time for new energy coming in, which would be this kind of energy. So you might have had some sort of, you know, woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning. That's generally when the Holy Spirit comes in. Or you had a dream and you're trying to remember it. This was enlightenment from above. And it was about how to solve this situation. And so it could be both of that, like that you've been in a never-ending nightmare, and then you had this passion for new discovery. And this is saying, don't worry, you've got it. You'll know what to do when the time is right kind of energy. Yes, so this is something about, we've got the cups here again. And this is talking about putting a lot of energy into something. There's only 10 cups, and this is 8. So you've put 8 cups of energy into something you love. That could be a romance or someone you love. It could be, an occupation that you love. It could be you purchased a home that you just loved, and now you have to walk away from it because you can't afford it or because you lost half your money. That kind of energy. And so this person is done, and they're walking away, and they're leaving the 8 cups to go and find something else. Now, or it can mean that they've lined up these 8 cups, and they are now going for the last 2. It feels the way this is going, because there is these 2 pentacles that you could be working on a new project, and you've put this, this could be an energy, okay, this didn't work out, it's just better for me to walk away from it. And that could represent like a bankruptcy or something if it was a house that you loved or a business that you loved. And there's no point in pouring more energy into it. It's time to start doing something else and move forward. And I feel like that's more what it's about, because we have half the money here that you expected. We have you working then on a new idea that came in from source energy. You're ready to put these burdens down and have the fulfillment that you want. And it's kind of like reconciling that with your mind. If it's romance, it could be that you really had a marriage that has been a never-ending nightmare. It didn't work out. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of nasty words being said between you. And it's kind of like it was an illusion. You thought this was the person for you, and it's not. And now you're ready to walk away from the marriage. It could be something like that. Then we have the Hangman. So the Hangman is hanging from the tree of knowledge, and the Hangman is hanging there because he's upside down, because he wants to look at this from all angles before he makes a decision. And once he gets the information that he needs, the enlightenment that maybe came in the wee hours of the morning, he's decided, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to work on something else. And he's ready to come down from the tree now because he's made his decision. And this also, in the background of this card, we have the new moon that was on the 19th or 20th in November or December 19th or 20th, depending on where you are. And that's when you are moving into the new. And the full moon coming up is January 3rd. And I believe that's a Capricorn full moon. And that energy for the full moon is about releasing anything that, it's time to release all of this and move into the new. And the Capricorn energy, if that's the case, is very much, it's represented by a mountain goat with a fish tail. So it's kind of talking about the mountain goat that takes consistent steps of action to climb that mountain to get to where they want to go and have this fulfillment. And they have a tail on the end of them. So it's like instead of 2 hind legs, they have a tail instead of legs. So you can imagine they have to be very determined to climb that mountain. And so this is that sort of that same kind of energy, that it's time to put the burden down and just focus on this new to have this fulfillment. And it could be with someone new, or, like take it however it works for you. Yeah. And when you do that, when you choose to move forward in a different way, and let go of what didn't work out in the past, it's a whole new world for you. And it's the end of a cycle. So I really feel like what we're talking about here is we're moving towards the end of the year in the new year, and 2025, 2 + 2 + 5 is 9. So it was a 9-year cycle. And so we're not just leaving in 1 year and moving into the new year. We are actually ending. And that's what this energy and this energy represent, like coming to the end of a cycle and moving into a totally different cycle. And it was like a 10-year cycle, like it was almost a decade. And then the energy of 2026 is 2 plus 2 plus 6 is 10, and then 1 plus 0 is 1. It's a 1 year. So it's all about this new discovery, doing new, changing the way you do things, that kind of energy, maybe finding a new love, having fulfillment when you were feeling like you were left out in the cold before. And it could be like, you know, and with all these moons in the solstice happening, with all of this energy happening, and moving from that 9-year cycle into a brand new decade, basically, you know, this energy is really promising for you, Pisces. And then we have Temperance. Yes, so this has really required patience from you. And it's interesting. I feel like it was something to do with timing, because this is a Sagittarius energy. And Temperance is like about having devotion to stay on your path. And it's talking about having the patience to stay on your path and to follow, you know, to get to this fulfillment. And so if you've been carrying all these burdens and you've really been working towards this is kind of talking about, it's a new world now, and it's about stepping into the new water. Like, that's what I'm getting. New emotions. Water represents emotions, and I feel like this is the universal pool, and it's saying it's time to pour into yourself so that you can move forward in a new way. Perfect timing, Pisces. And then we have the Judgment. So some sort of judgment has been made from up high that it's time for you to have what you want. And it's going to, you know, and that comes down. And this sometimes, because we have the ancestors here, and the ancestors, it could have been some injustice that happened with them, or it could have been about them. It could have been when you were a young child, something happened. Because there's the ancestors and the descendants. And if your ancestors are across the veil, you know, they're blowing the trumpet, glory, hallelujah. We weren't that smart when we were on the earth, but now that we're on the other side, we figured out we probably should have treated you slightly differently when you were a child. That could be that kind of energy. Almost like the Red Cross here, you know, that kind of energy of healing. And so this is saying the ancestors want you to heal. And so this is justice coming in from the spiritual level as well as on the physical. Because this here is about marriage and commitments and relationships. So I feel like it could very likely be that you were in a relationship that was very like a never-ending nightmare, like a lot of bickering, that kind of energy. And then this is talking when you walk away. This is the position of death, secrets, and shared resources. So you may have lost half your money in the divorce, you know, that kind of energy. And then we have the higher learning. And that's, you know, so all of these cards are in the position that they should be in. So this is about education and understanding what's happening. And then we have, this is about your career and reputation. I'm getting, in your public image, I feel like this, maybe if you were someone that's a professional, and you were in this marriage that was not, or a business, it could be a marriage or a business, that was not productive, and there was a lot of bickering in that. You feel like it's ruined your reputation, and you know, that kind of energy. Or people on the outside saw you as being weaker, and now it's time for this energy to change. And this is about new friends and blessings and you know, being human, like that we all make mistakes, you know, that kind of energy. And this judgment is sitting right on secrets and spirituality and endings. So yeah, this troubling time is ending very soon. And I feel like it'll end in the new year. So long as you stay on your path, keep going. Don't give up now. Like, you know, like there's no point in giving up now. You put all this work into something. And walking away from it isn't giving up. I'm talking about giving up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're in the solstice right now. As a matter of fact, tonight will be the first night that's starting to get longer instead of shorter. Or sorry, day, sorry, is going to be, the night will be shorter rather than longer. Unless you're in Australia and you're on the other side of the world, then the night is actually getting longer and the day is shorter because they're opposite. They're upside down compared to us. I used to live in Australia for over a year and a half. I love Australia. Australia was an amazing place to be. But they are like totally opposite. You know, they're what, I think a day and a half ahead of us. Something like that in time. All right, so I'm going to clarify this. If you're enjoying this reading, please do like and comment. It really does empower me to build my channel. I'm clarifying with my oracle cards, Tales from the Vector. These are from the Intergalactic Federation of Light. I'm an artist, so I painted 64 Oops, there we go. That's what they do, these cards. I've got my cat on my lap, and now I'm going to have to wake her up. And then she's going to be a pain in the butt. But I got to get this card because it flew right underneath my chair. All right, so this is the card that wants to come out. And so I'm working on completing this. I completed, there were 64 paintings, and I started in 2007. In 2020, I completed the last painting. And so I'm working now to bring out the deck and the book that goes with it, but I want to play with them for some time to make sure when I write up the book that goes with the deck that it's correct information. So the card that came out, and this is the energy, like if I'm shuffling these cards while I'm talking and tuning into the energy, then a card always flies out. And sometimes, oh, my cat's angry. She's like, oh, I'm so annoyed. You do this all the time, Colette. She was sound asleep, so she was purring away, and I just dumped her. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. Okay, she's not speaking to me. So this is the Aquarius energies. Yes, so this is talking about this healing, how to have this fulfillment and how to heal this. And it's about adopting the Aquarian energy. We moved in from Pisces to Aquarius. So you're probably feeling this deeper than a lot of other people because Pisces energy is the two fish tied at the tail swimming against each other. But it's about being in the water, and it's very deeply emotional. And Aquarius is energy. So I feel, it seems like you feel like you're a fish out of water, possibly ever since around 2020-ish. I mean, a lot of people went through a lot of changes then. But the Aquarian energy is very different from the Piscean energy. The Piscean energy, if you had like, employment somewhere, in a company, quite often in Piscean energy, you would be there for your whole life. You would work for the same company, you would work in the same industry, you would, that kind of energy. Marriages lasted forever. And in Aquarius, it's much more experimental. So it's about working on something, observing, did it work? Didn't it work? Why didn't it work if it didn't? And saying, oh, okay, then I'll do this instead. I'll give this other energy a try. And then if that works, doubling up on that and just letting go of what doesn't work. So this is about like this energy of the solstice and of the new moon and the full moon together there on that card. And letting go of what doesn't work is the best option in this new age of Aquarius. And then we also have, so I'm getting on some level, the Chariot is here, and the Chariot represents gaining momentum. And I just feel that part of this energy for you is disappointment. You thought you'd be further. You were so enthusiastic when you started, and then things got like challenging and difficult. And this is talking about the power of spin, that just as fast as things seem to fall apart, they can even gain momentum. And if you're starting over now, you're not starting over like when you were young, like really young. You have all this experience now, so you're taking what you have, you're taking the information from what you learned here, and you're applying it to the new project. And so, yeah, and then this is talking about now your journey is foolhardy, because if you give up expectations of how you felt things should have gone, then expectations create limitations. Then you can anticipate like a new journey on your... Do you want to come up here? Well, don't be like that, Stella. She wants to come up here, but she doesn't want to come up here. She wants me to, you know, chase after her and beg for forgiveness for dumping her off my lap. Not today. So this is the Scorpio energy. And so that's talking about the energy of elevating others and yourself, or conquering. And it's the Scorpio energy. What Scorpio does best is unite people. And so this is, I feel like this energy is just talking about having to like come back to this energy, but in like, you know, with that enthusiasm, but with the knowledge that you had, so that you can move forward in a new way. And then we have, yeah, surrender. So this is coming from the ancestors. It's like energy, that there's errant energies around. And so perhaps it had something to do with the way you were raised. And also it could have been like it happened to your parents, and then like it affected your life. Like maybe your parents lost money and then you couldn't go to university, or what, you know, something like that. Or you had to move to a different neighborhood, and the new neighborhood you didn't adjust well. It could be a, you know, something like that. And then we have the need to be right. So quite often if people, this is like a karmic space here, if people have the need to be right, even when it's not going to benefit them, like they can't see, they're not willing to adopt this experimental energy of observing, where, you know, what you can do differently. If you like, and Pisceans, you know, you're a Pisces, and that's the energy that you have to let go of, is your own energy, you know, and letting go of what your parents did, what your dad did, what your mom did, how they were raised, what you thought was going to happen. So the need to be right, you know, you can, if you have a need to be right, instead of adopting this new energy, it's going to, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be right. You're going to convince yourself you're right, and you're not going to change. And then you won't get that fulfillment. And there was some sort of abuse of power. So, you know, whatever you lost, something happened. Abuse of power can be all the way from government up to the top, all the way down to, you know, what happens in your home, and also within yourself. So we all have this ability. Power is, you know, what do they say? You know, power can corrupt anyone, basically. And if you don't know how to handle it. And then we have perception. So yes, this is talking about there may have been some cheating in your marriage. It could have been something like that, because perception is, you know, if like a cat's purr is very healing, and it's like being able to look at the bright side, you know, look at it from all angles and be able to see, okay, well, what did you learn from it, so you can move forward with it. And it also can talk about someone who wasn't happy what was going on, so they decided, oh, I'm going to go, you know, cheat on my partner or whatever, or in my business, I'm going to take more than I should, or something like that. And, you know, the grass is greener on the other side, because it's fake. So you know, you find out, oh, like it wasn't better after all. But if you've ever owned a property that had a lawn, and you've looked after a lawn, you know you can have green grass that is real. You just have to water it, you have to nurture it, you have to fertilize it, weed it, cut it often, you know, so it looks good. And then defining the external forces is dissension. So yeah, some sort of tactics happened here. Dissension is, you know, if there was something that happened, this is about swimming with sharks, and with friends like this, who needs enemies? So you could have been in partnership with people, with someone that you thought was your friend, and they really let you down, and it costs you half of your assets or whatever. Maybe you went into business with someone and you formed a partnership, and they didn't pull their weight, and so it's that kind of energy. Or they stole money out of the business and you were left holding the bag kind of energy. So it could be that if it was about a business or something like that. Or in the marriage, it could have been someone who one thing that just popped in my head is a gambling problem. Like one partner could have had a gambling problem, or drank too much, that kind of energy, and wasn't acting out in a responsible way. And then we have intent. Yeah. So when you begin a marriage or a partnership with someone in a business, the intent is to do well, right? But the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And things, if you had expectations, they'll create limitations, because things, I've never seen where life turns out exactly how you expected it to. It's just not the way it is. This is also saying if you get in another relationship, it might not be a bad idea to, if you meet someone that you're attracted to, but they're not your type, maybe that's a good thing, And then this is about father figures. Yeah, I felt like that energy was coming up. Something to do with your dad, the way you were raised. He could have been really harsh with his words, that kind of energy. And also in the Piscean energy, like that's talking about a certain generation also, where a lot of men were taught to be very authoritarian fathers, and not to show their emotions, and not to, they weren't someone that was like, telling you all the time how much they loved you, in that kind of energy. And now maybe they've passed and it's not possible for them to tell you that. And then we have the Leo energy coming in, which is about being a leader and having the confidence again. And I feel like that's where you're headed. And it's just saying, you're doing really well. You're moving through it. You've gone this can also represent kind of the dark night of the soul, where you really look at yourself so that you can make these changes. And okay, you're on my lap now. Be a good girl. Sorry, cat. She's. And then we have here the Virgo energy. So this is about clear communication. And Virgo energy is it is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is about communication, and it's about being able to contribute, and recognizing that if you're in this Aquarian energy now, that the idea isn't to beat yourself up. Virgos have a tendency to not be able, there's such a thing as analytical critique, which is really beneficial. And then that can easily turn into anal criticism. And quite often Virgos turn that on themselves. So it's kind of that energy of don't be beating yourself up when you're observing what went wrong. It's not about fixing what went wrong. It's about observing about how you could do something differently so that it would be more valuable. And then having the strength and the integrity to continue. And that's why your courage has gotten you out of this. And if you don't feel like you're out of it yet, this is past, present, and future. But with the Chariot coming in, it's talking about this is already happening. So it's already in the mix. And then the final one we have here is indifference. I feel like this card is saying two things. You may have felt that there was a lot of indifference to your suffering, that that card, where did that land? With friends like this, who needs enemies? Here. So the dissension is when it's conquer and divide energy. So it's kind of like some of your friends may have been happy for you that you didn't do well, that kind of energy. And so that indifference is very painful for a lot of us. But it's also saying that this is a karmic space that's very easy to fall into, and we are all in it together. So you're not the very first person that experienced this. And actually, I feel like with all what happened in 2020, a lot of people kind of felt like fish out of water. You know, there was a lot of shift that happened that year, that's for sure. So that kind of energy, and really now when I'm thinking about it, you know, that was like 2019 and 2020, and the new moon is on 19 and 20. Plus, yesterday we also moved into the Capricorn energy out of Sagittarius energy. So there's a lot of, of energy moving right now. So I do hope you have enjoyed this, Pisces. And I didn't forget you. I ran into technical difficulties, but I will upload this video as soon as possible. So do like and comment if you've enjoyed it, and consider subscribing if you resonate with the channel. It would be an honor for me if you did so. I will have another reading for you for the beginning of January. Bye for now. Hey, Stella, now we have to wake you up again. There we go.